The concept of reliance on Allah is embedded within our religion. We find that in Surah Al-Fatiha, at least 17 times a day, we say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. You and you alone do we worship, O Allah, and you alone do we ask for help. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. We seek your help and assistance. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the way in which one can protect themselves in this world. And this protection will help us all, inshallah, to be successful in the next life. When we look at tawakkul, this concept of reliance on Allah, what do we find in the Quran and in the prophetic sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Does Allah provide us with any sort of formula so that we may come to understand what tawakkul is, or that we may come to understand how it should be used? My dear respected brothers and sisters, you find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in the Quran, in Surah Al-Imran, the formula for us to be successful and how we should properly and appropriately apply tawakkul. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. This is the formula. Very simple. فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ. And when you have made a decision, when you take a decision, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ, once you decide upon a thing, فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Now place your total reliance and trust in Allah. This is the formula. And it doesn't get any simpler than this. What is the formula? What is the formula? It is to decide on a matter, take a decision, strive hard to reach a conclusion, strive hard as best as you can in whatever area you are trying to become successful in, and then فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Then turn to Allah and leave the rest of it to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He ends that ayah is describing and explaining for us that this quality, relying on Allah, is one of the most beloved qualities to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَوَكِّلِينَ. Certainly, Allah loves those who are mutawakkilin, those who place their trust and reliance upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again, let me go back. What is the formula so that we may understand how tawakkul is to be applied? It is not just to sit in one's bed and to say, I am relying on Allah. Allah is going to bring my food. I'm relying on Allah. Allah is going to bring my drink. I'm relying on Allah. I am from the mutawakkilin, from those who rely on Allah. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to stay in my house, stay in my room, and Allah is going to pay my bills. And Allah is going to fix my car. And Allah is going to take care of everything for me. This is not the correct understanding of tawakkul. Allah tells us, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ. Once you have made an effort, once you have come to a decision, once you have put forth your utmost struggle and energy and efforts, then فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Then you should place your trust in Allah to take care of the rest. You find that as we look at this formula, making a decision and then placing your trust in Allah, which one of these two do you think most Muslims struggle with? Do you think the majority of Muslims struggle with making a decision and putting forward effort? Or is there greater struggle letting go and leaving it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Think for a moment. The reality is that the majority of Muslims struggle in the area of letting go and leaving it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for Allah to control it. Why? Because as we become older, as we grow, we become more independent. As we learn more, as we earn more, and as we experience, we believe that if we have been given certain tools, certain opportunities, then we should and can be able to mold our surroundings to our liking. But the reality is that no matter how much wealth or how much knowledge or how much ability Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us, everything still is under the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many times have you tried to prepare a meal, a special meal? You may have all the ingredients in front of you, have a working oven, have the proper and appropriate pot, but for some reason or another, the meal becomes screwed up. It becomes messed up. Why? Because although you had all of the ingredients, you are not able to make it like you were trying your mother's meal or a grandmother's dish, right? And that is because this is a highlight. It only highlights the fact that although we may have everything that we need, still what we do not control is outcome. And it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who decides the outcome, not based upon how much we have or how much we know or what we are able to do, but based upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His infinite wisdom and in His infinite abilities to make an outcome happen, whether that is a good outcome or whether that is a bad outcome. All of that is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not in our own hands. We have a saying here in the West, and it sums up the idea or the concept of tawakkul, reliance on Allah. What is that saying? It is, let go and let God. Let go and let God. What does that mean? It means that there must come a point that after we have given our utmost effort, that we let it go and we leave it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After we have worked extremely hard from our end, we leave the rest to Allah. And what does it mean to leave the rest to Allah? Why do you find the majority of Muslims struggle when it comes to leaving things to Allah? Their struggle is connected to their ignorance. And I mean by that those who struggle to leave things to Allah only struggle because they do not know who Allah is.